There once was a sickly child born with debilitating asthma. His palms were sweaty, knees weak, arms were heavy. There was vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti. That kid decided to bulk up and train for the rest of his life so that he wouldn't be a wimp. His name? Theodore Roosevelt, the youngest president in the history of the United States. After graduating from Harvard, Roosevelt started making a name for himself by openly fighting corruption in the state of New York. Everything was going his way when both his wife and his mother died on the same day. Now most people would just roll up in a fetus position, cry, and possibly OD on Prozac. But most people are sissies. Teddy chose to go Clint Eastwood mode and traveled west to become a cowboy for 2 years. When he returned, Teddy was appointed the police commissioner. If you were a policeman at the time, Teddy was a real pain-in-the-ass boss to have. He brought in physical exams as if it was important to be in shape. He'd also go outside at night and see if you were sleeping on duty. It was at this time that one of the policemen coined the phrase, "Come on, bro." Afterwards, Roosevelt was appointed the main Navy dude. That was the official title. At the time, Spain was in charge of Cuba. There wasn't anything particularly wrong with that, except for the fact that it would be better for the US if they just weren't. Fortunately, an American ship stationed in Havana exploded, which was a great opportunity for Cuba to get a taste of some good old American freedom. The president at the time decided to be diplomatic. He wanted to use words? What a Roosevelt didn't really care though, and already gave out orders to prepare for the war without the president knowing. To be fair to Teddy, the war was bound to happen anyway, he just pushed it forward a little bit. Now, as someone who believed that the greatest human virtue was physical bravery, Teddy was never gonna stay at home and change diapers while the men fought. Naturally, he formed his own regiment of volunteers and landed in Daiquiri ready to rumble. The Spanish-American War ended successfully for the Americans, and Roosevelt was a sort of a national hero. He became famous for his charge of Kettle Hill. Teddy positioned himself in front of the soldiers and was like, "We need to do this. It will be amazing." Trust me, there'll be like explosions, hot chicks, loads of cash, all that stuff. And for some extra motivation, how about I shoot anyone who starts running away? Teddy received the Medal of Honor for all this. When he returned, Teddy was extremely popular, but his political views opposed the leaders of the Republican Party at the time. So, they decided to name him vice president, which, unlike today, was just a ceremonial position. Oh wait, it was exactly like today. In hindsight though, they probably shouldn't have done that, since after the assassination of the president, Roosevelt automatically became the new president at the age of 42. As president, Roosevelt was pretty unique. He had quite a dictatorish approach and was meddling in all presidential and non-presidential decisions. For example, he wanted to influence the rules of football. He changed the designs of some coins he disliked and wanted to change the spelling of around 300 words, for which he was mocked. According to Teddy, the word believe has an unnecessary I in it, and I really don't know what to think about that. Maybe, I don't know. Once president, Teddy went crazy with preserving nature. He created 5 national parks and more than 200 national forests and animal reserves. All this was done simply by issuing an executive order. See, the first 25 presidents issued a total of 1,262 executive orders. Roosevelt alone issued 1,081. So he was quite a busy guy. Teddy was the first American president to receive a Nobel Peace Prize, and he got it for stopping a war. Roosevelt organized peace talks and was responsible for the end of the Russo-Japanese War. I can't really name a lot of people who received the medal for both being peaceful and for kicking ass in the war. President Teddy also wanted to make a canal that would connect the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. He chose Panama for its destination. Panama at the time was a part of Colombia. "Hey, I want to build a canal across the whole length of your land." Yeah, the French already tried that. It's not gonna work. We could call it the Panama Canal. Not the greatest of names, but still, Colombia says no. And the canal will connect the two oceans together. It's like you're not even listening, bro. Colombia says, oh, wow, we're a country now. Alright, that's cool. But wait a minute, what if Colombia decides to, that's a lot of ships. Jesus, dude, okay, I guess we're making a canal. During his presidency, Roosevelt was close friends with Secretary of War William Howard Taft. Teddy tutored Taft despite their lifestyle differences. For example, Teddy was exercising his whole life. He loved to box even after it left him blind in one eye, a fact they of course hid from the public. On the other hand, Taft was shoving food in his mouth while Teddy talked, working relentlessly on becoming fatter. Or he was just disabled, depending on how many genders you believe there are. When Teddy's second term was coming to an end, he publicly endorsed Taft and helped him become the new president. Roosevelt decided to distance himself and let Taft be his own man. He left for an African safari expedition. There, Teddy and his company killed more than 10,000 animals, including 1,000 large animals and 6 white rhinos. Those are the ones you really shouldn't kill, not even back then. He shipped a lot of them back to America. When he returned, Teddy realized that, much like their eating habits, his and Taft's politics differed. Since Taft was the Republican candidate, Teddy ran for president on his own. During the campaign, Roosevelt was shot in his chest before delivering a speech. I'd probably die just from knowing that I was shot, but that's why I'm not Roosevelt. Teddy told doctors to back off. After all, he had a speech to make. After speaking for an hour and a half, yes, an hour and a half with a gunshot wound in his chest, he was like, alright medics, you can help me now, I'm kind of dying over here. And still, that wasn't enough to win. Woodrow Wilson won and Teddy wanted to run again, but his health said no. At the age of 60, Theodore Roosevelt died in his sleep. Death had to take Roosevelt sleeping, for if he had been awake, there would have been a fight. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to click on the bell icon at the bottom of the screen in order to be notified when a new video comes out. See you soon!